Hi, I'm Anthony Mancuso. I'm an MFA candidate here at the University of Central Florida. My work reanalyzes space and perspective and often overlooks systems of routine and ritual that define domestic space. So through this meditative act of painting, I can engage in introspective dialogue and reflect on intimacy and routine. In this particular piece, I've pulled imagery directly from my experiences of cohabitation, painting what I'm most familiar with, which is my home. In this particular piece, I've used multiple panels and stacked perspectives. And as you can see, the panels don't necessarily line up, which kind of speaks to the object or the nature of the material. And I feel like that results in something sort of less picturesque, but more tangible. And that speaks more to my thoughts and feelings towards cohabitation or building a home or family.
Hello, my name is Ryan Otero Price. I'm a third-year MFA candidate and getting my degree in Studio Art Design. Here I'm with one of my pieces where I'm using a lot of what the themes of my work are, which is loss and grief, death, memory, childhood nostalgia, and all these kinds of things. Finding myself in a very introspective time where I'm at home, I found myself going into myself a lot and asking myself, my inner child, what do you miss, what do you grieve, and things like that. My late father and stuff like that, which I tried to resurrect memories of my childhood and simple things like games or drawing and art and my parents and my family and stuff like that was very important to me. And I grieve portions of that as time moves forward. And I kind of found myself reflecting on a lot of that in this current body of work.
Hello, my name is Hunter Pylant, and I'm a graduate student in the Studio Art and Design program here at UCF. Here, I'm in the gallery displaying some of my work, and this is actually one of the first sculptures that I've created in the program. It's titled Gingham Stump, and it's supposed to represent childhood memories of me working on my grandfather's farm, chopping wood, and it was also kind of my first learning experience of working with wood as a medium. So instead of having the rings of the tree on top of the stump here, I have a combination of maple wood, cherry wood, and walnut, and it's supposed to kind of represent the fabric that people in my family would wear.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Robinson, and I'm currently in the Emerging Media and Studio Art and Design program at UCF. My works often deal with aspects of trauma, more or less childhood trauma that kind of follows into adulthood. Usually I find that things get triggered within domestic space. So you may see familiar objects of domestic spaces as far as like doors, chairs. These are the triggers within that trauma that still haunt me to this day. Once I put them into a 3D aspect and I bring them into reality, into something tangible, and I work with it, then I truly exercise it and resolve that trauma.
Hello, my name is Sheherazade Thenard, and I am one of the MFA candidates for 2022 at UCF. So over quarantine, I started making these monotypes using literally a wine bottle to press in lieu of a press because I didn't have access to the printmaking shop, and exploring mark making in a way that I never had before, getting in touch with aspects of my childhood where I used to feel very free. After making these monotypes, I wanted to translate that into my painting, which had at first been a little tight. And I wanted to explore looser mark making. So from there, I was able to pull from it and create paintings that were expressive, paintings that had landscape imagery flowing in and out of where they would normally be, using my imagination more to create these spaces, and having these figures that commanded space, but didn't necessarily have to engage the viewer.
Hi, my name is Forrest Wilson, and I'm a third-year MFA candidate here in the Studio Art and Design program at UCF. As a queer artist, my work deals with examining my own past, as well as grappling with this history of fantastical imagery that's associated heavily with religion. As a young child, I grew up in a very religious household. I was in the foster care system, so it was really like underprivileged kind of position that I found myself in as a child. And I felt myself as an adult needing to look back and kind of grapple with a lot of those feelings. since I really love a lot of fantastical art and imagery, but there was always this distance I felt as a child to where I couldn't really embody them since, religious doctrine always says I'm not really able to, my existence is not valid. So my work is about providing validation for myself and hopefully validation for other people by both grappling with my identity and that kind of difficult history. With this piece here, it's called Transfiguration. I really wanted to create a piece with multiple figures that had this possible narrative of being the same figure transforming into a larger, more powerful, fully embodied, less shameful figure. I deal with pastel, which is this really intimate kind of material. I have to be very delicate with the paper that I'm using. I have to blend with my fingers at times. I have to layer these colors and blend and merge these colors in a way that I think still deals with my identity and deals with softness and ephemerality as well.